Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to get started here on the stream. Sorry I'm late today, just kind of had some things come up, but just kind of wanted to try out different times and see what time really works for everybody. As we continue to kind of figure out what's the best scenario or what the best situation is for what's going on. Excuse me as I turn the power back on my headphones. Just make sure. Let me just make sure that we're live. Nope. Headset. Okay, cool. We are live and I can hear that. Alrighty. But anyway, guys, just kind of wanted to kind of welcome everybody into the charge. Of course, this is your host, Bernie Morris, giving you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. So I do appreciate each and every one of you that's out here watching the stream right now, enjoying the time that we have here together. Today we're just going to be talking about one thing and one thing only, and that's, of course, what Draymond Green said, and just kind of figuring out like everybody's opinion on it, what's going on with it. You know, Draymond Green goes off on NBA teams' treatment of players. He feels that they're unjustly criticized for the way that things happen, and we're gonna kind of break it down from a fan's perspective, from a team's perspective, from a player's perspective, and really get the gist of what's going on from each and every one of these perspectives. But like I said, before we start here, it's kind of the main segment, and this will probably only be a quick segment as we do it live. Please remember to hit that like and also hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Of course, the more likes, the more subscribes, the more that people are going to be willing to watch us and kind of just deal with us on an everyday basis and get everybody involved in the channel. I'd love to get your guys' perspective on this as it pertains to this. So, like I said, join us in the live chat, join us in the stream, and I'd really appreciate you guys kind of tuning in and checking everything out as it pertains to what's going on for the live stream. And as we kind of look at as we kind of chill here for a little bit and kind of wait for a little more people to fill in, the one thing that I will say, guys, and the one thing that I do notice about Draymond Green and the players, that there is a movement going on where a lot of players are kind of figuring out what their next path is, what their next career move is, and that's what we're going to figure out today. So, without further ado, let's move on to the live scene and kind of talk about what's going on. And of course, guys, we are going to be looking at NBA season. Video provided. Let's listen into what Draymond has to say about this whole situation so you guys can get the full understanding and context of what he's trying to say.
To watch Andre Drummond before the game sit on the sideline, then go to the back, and then come out in street clothes because a team is going to trade him is bullshit. Because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, I don't think there was no surprise or there's no one's going to fight back that James was dogging it his last days in Houston. But he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team, and everybody destroyed that man. And yet a team can come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy is to go sit. And if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer, and he's not good in someone's locker room, and he's the issue. And we've seen situations of Harrison Barnes getting pulled off the bench. DeMarcus Cousins finding out that he's traded in an interview after the All-Star game, and we continue to let this happen. But I got fined for stating my opinion of what I thought should happen with another player. But teams can come out and continue to say, oh, we're trading guys, we're not playing you. And yet we're to stay professional. At some point, as players, we need to be treated with the same respect and have the same rights that the team can have. Because as a player, you're the worst person in the world when you want a different situation. But a team can say they're trading you, and that man is to stay in shape. He is to stay professional. And if not, his career is on the line. At some point, this league has to protect the players from embarrassment like that. You know, we talk all of this stuff about you can't do this, you can't say that publicly. If you say that publicly, you're fine. Anthony Davis got fined, I think, $100,000 or something like that for demanding
What's that, BOA?
publicly. But you can say Andre Drummond is getting traded publicly, and we're looking to trade him publicly, and he.
I like how this is the video on the right. Christ, Steph Curry. Okay, so we did listen to what Draymond Green had to say there. You know, I think a lot of people have difference of opinions. I know EOI just came in here. How you doing, man? Hopefully everything is going well for you. You agree with Dre, and you don't really like Dre. You know, the one thing that I will agree with him on is the fact that they're asked to. I think the Andre Drummond point is 100% correct. I do think that at the end of the day, if he's a healthy player, if he's someone that's going to provide you W's, I know that right now the Cavaliers are kind of in this predicament where they're either fully on the rebuild or they're fully, you know, trying to get some players to see what they can do with these guys, such as whatchamacallit? You know, Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, and just see what they have there. Oh, nice, man. Glad you got a Nintendo Switch. Is that what you're playing on? You got a little Nintendo. You got some Nintendo there. I think I got one. But I think I just kind of deemed it the family one. So I let my mom and my dad use it, and so they're just kind of chilling with it. But just trying to go back to the scenario that we just talked about with Draymond Green. The one thing that I can say, and like I said, I agree with him on the fact of Andre Drummond. You know, playing out there, balling out, and then all of a sudden he's brought back out, or he's brought back, has to be in street clothes and all this other stuff. I do think that it's kind of BS from that perspective. I think that the Cavaliers should just let him play it out, and then at the end of the day, if he balls out, he balls out. If he doesn't, then it is what it is. But to be honest with you, I don't see as a fan, this is of course coming from a fan perspective and also maybe from a team perspective, I don't really see the difference between what players do and what the team does. They basically accomplish the same goal. I'm sure Andre Drummond doesn't want to stay in Cleveland. Like, if anything, I think Andre Drummond wants to leave. He wants to not be there anymore. And I think that's kind of what I get the vibe from with Andre Drummond, because look, you already have Jared Allen, you have JaVale McGee, Andre Drummond. Those are three people in the same positions that are kind of clogging up that rotational minutes, and it's like, okay, do we play Jared Allen? Do we play Andre Drummond? Like, who's the guy that we're going to move forward with? And they decided to move forward with Jared Allen, and it was a great opportunity to pick up a young player. What I kind of find a little bit difficult with Draymond Green is the whole James Harden situation, because I do think that that's a little bit different. I don't necessarily. I think professionalism is 100%. No matter what it is, you need to keep it. Like, whether you are disgruntled at work, or whether you're disgruntled with a partner, or whether you're disgruntled with your teachers, like whatever kind of disgruntled behavior that you have, I think you should keep it professional. The reason why is because you don't want to come off as some petty a-hole. You don't want to come off as someone that doesn't really care about manners or anything like that. Like, look, you know, I don't think what James Harden did was professional. Did he accomplish his goal of getting out of Houston? Yes. But I think that whether Houston was going to do it or not, I think they were going to do it no matter what, because they realized that the roster just isn't good enough. What I didn't like from James Harden, and I will say this time and time again, is that he is breaking quarantine rules in a pandemic, and that's the reason why people are going after him, Draymond. It's not because he's, kind of doing whatever. Like, he's not like, oh, I'm here in Houston, I'm still working out, but I'm just not going to be part of the team. I don't think anybody in 2020 would be frustrated with that, or 2021, because we're in 2021 right now. But I don't think anybody would be frustrated with that, because if you really think about it, people understand in 2021 that players need to move. I mean, everybody kind of would understand if Giannis wanted to leave Milwaukee. I think even Bucks fans would understand if Giannis wanted to leave Milwaukee, and then all of a sudden, boom, like he He stayed on a supermax. And I just think that that's kind of something we need to look at. And, I understand Draymond Green's point, they need to protect the players, but I think they do a plenty of protecting for the players. I think the NBA is the most well-protected players dominated sport, I think, in the world right now. Like, it's no question about it, besides maybe like a players only league. But I think that they are well protected. I mean, they get the things that they want. They got the bubble. Like, they got all these type of stuff. Like, they've got all the COVID tests. These players get basically 55, I think it's like 55-45 or something, like 50-50 revenue split with the owners. I mean, that is unheard of in any sport. And the NBA was able to do that for their players. So I do think that they do protect you in that instant. But you also have to go to the NBA PA. You have to go to the NBA league offices, because this, to me, is a scenario that I'm watching with when it comes to the NBA. And what I think a lot of fans find annoying is that, you want these players to be well protected. You want them, and let me get this like Steph Curry stuff off the screen so we can just look at Draymond here. You want your players protected. You want your players healthy. You want them, kind of enjoying basketball. But at the same time, like for the whole James Harden situation, what I found frustrating about that whole ordeal was the fact that he didn't keep it professional. He gained weight. He wasn't in the best premier shape. Like, look, I do think that Houston was going to eventually trade him because, look, the team was not very good. They didn't have the pieces around him. Yes, they have some talented young talent, but I think it's going to take a lot more time, and James Harden doesn't have that. And I think, for the most part, I think teams are really good at, trading players. The NFL is a different story. The NBA, I think, does a good job of knowing that they have disgruntled players and they're willing to move and part ways with them. But I think, Draymond, I get your point. I understand what you're trying to say. But at the end of the day, I'm not a huge fan of kind of the way that you're going about it. Like, at the end of the day, James Harden didn't do it very well. When it comes to, being chastised by the fans, I understand that from Draymond's perspective. I would not like that either. If I know that I was going to do something, man, whatchamacallit? Sorry, I just got a text from Lay talking about some Phoenix Sun stuff. But, as it pertains to guys that, deserve a move, don't deserve a move, I think the NBA does a good job of making sure that those players have a spot, and they do a really good job of getting those guys to the places that they want to go. At the end of the day, Houston got James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets, the team on one of his lists. Yes, he expanded the teams to like almost all of the contending teams, but he still expanded it. He still got players in the right position, and we're seeing right now like what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets. I think right now they're losing currently to the Phoenix Suns, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. Yeah, they're losing 51-37, but at the end of the day, he got this to the spot that he wanted to, and I think he just has to accept it. What I think Draymond is kind of going on about protecting players is something that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, do I think that Andre Drummond got shafted by the Cavaliers? Yeah, I do. I do think that he got shafted by the Cavaliers. But I also think that James Harden shafted the Houston Rockets as well by not playing his best. And if you're not going to play your best, at least say, you know what, I'm just going to step away from the team. And the thing was, he was trying to get his coin. He was trying to get his bread. He was trying to get his money. And I don't blame him for getting his money, but if you are going to get your money, at least put in the effort of being in tip-top shape. Because look, who really benefits from an out of shape player? And no team that you trade for is going to benefit from that, and neither is the team that you're currently on. So at the end of the day, professionalism does matter, Draymond. Like, I know that professionalism for you guys is like a text or anything like that. I do get that, and I do think that those conversations, especially when it pertains to trading somebody or moving on from somebody, those have to be done in person. Like, I just think it's professional in that aspect. And I think that's what NBA teams have to do as well. They have to be professional as in the same aspect of give them a call or talk to them face to face and say, look, unfortunately, it's just not going to work out here. We appreciate everything that you did for us, but unfortunately, we are going to go in a different direction, and we are looking for the best possible trade, or hey, we're going to release you so that another team can pick you up because we know that there's a lot of offers for you somewhere else. And I think that would be perfect. Like Boogie Cousins, I'm sure would have tons of offers. But I do think that Draymond is out of pocket for this one. Like, I understand his frustration. I understand his point about the way that the NBA treats its players. From perspective of, okay, you're playing, and then all of a sudden you're pulled off the court. Like I do get that from Andre Drummond's perspective because look, Andre Drummond wants to play. He doesn't want to sit on the bench. But the good news is that he does get paid. He does get money. But let's kind of listen in one more time to what he said here. I think this was it.
Thought should happen with another player, but teams can come out and continue to say, "Oh, we're trading guys. We're not playing you," and yet we're to stay professional. At some point, as players, we need to be treated with the same respect and have the same rights that the team can have. Because as a player, you're the worst person in the world when you want a different situation.
And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he's taking it from the perspective of how it was in 2011, 2010. Like, I do agree with, like, those perspective, but at the end of the day, maybe I'm just different in the way that I think, and maybe I'm just, like, a more of not an optimist or anything like that, but what I do think when I see this is, okay, I understand that, like, LeBron James, wanted to be a Miami Heat player. I'm not going to be upset with him if he decides to go to Miami instead of Cleveland. I do think that maybe a call would have been preferred from a guy like Dan Gilbert. I don't agree with what Dan Gilbert did at all 100%. I think a lot of it could have been handled in so many different ways. I think especially in that instant, for example. But, I think teams and players now are very cognizant of what is going on. Like I said, when it comes to guys like James Harden, and so, the same thing with you, Draymond. Let's say, for example, the Golden State Warriors are looking to trade you or looking to move on from you. Are you going to do the exact same thing James Harden did? Or are you going to be like, well, I'm going to try and eat my way out of here? Am I going to try and do all this other stuff? I mean, at the end of the day, teams and players are, especially teams, are going to look for guys that still provide value for their franchise, that still are out there that provide talent. I mean, it's not like Boogie Cousins right now is looking for a job in the NBA. He has a job. He's playing it very well. I think he's hurt right now, if I'm not mistaken, but I think he might be playing for the Houston Rockets right now. But, I do think that Boogie Cousins stayed professional. Yes, what he had to deal with as a Laker, as a Warrior, was a lot of BS. And even from the Pelicans, it was a lot of BS, and I don't disagree with that. But I do think, as it pertains to the stuff, is that, and maybe we just don't see the side of it. Like, we don't see the conversations that these GMs and players have with one another when it comes to, like, oh, look, we're looking to trade you or we're looking to release you. Like, we don't have any insight on that. Like, I would love if there was like a HBO documentary that would follow an NBA team like it does for Southampton on Netflix, which is a soccer league or soccer team. Or, for example, I'm trying to think of like HBO's like Hard Knocks. Like, I see the conversations that those guys have with one another, and it's tough. These conversations are tough. It's never easy to trade, release any player, or to tell them they're out of the starting lineup, or to tell them, hey, you're not starting. Like, it is a tough ordeal to deal with. And as we kind of continue to look on and see this whole situation, like I said, I do find it frustrating with Andre Drummond that he's not allowed to play. Like, I get that frustration. I really do. But at the end of the day, I do think that Andre Drummond's still getting paid the $28 million, and I still think that he gets to kind of choose and kind of relax and, take the wear and tear off of it, which does help another team. And I'm not trying to be like a team defender, because I by no means am I like defending the NBA clubs and anything like that, because we know how shady they can be. They can basically just give you a text and say, hey, you're cut. Good luck finding another team. Like, that to me, like, if a GM, or if I find out that GMs do that type of tactics, like, to any player, doesn't matter if they are the superstar MVP of the team or whether they are the last guy on the bench. These conversations have to be held in person and also held in a meeting room. Like, look, I don't care if you are the last player on the bench or your first player that's or the first player that's starting for the team. We need to make sure that these are professional environments from both sides. And I don't want to be like this milquetoast fence sitter, because everybody's going to be like, oh, you're just being a milquetoast fence sitter on this scenario. For guys that don't know, milquetoast fence sitter is just like a guy that kind of sits and kind of goes both ways on the conversation. But I do think that it is true. Like, you do have to keep professional on both sides. The team has to bring you in and let you know, hey, we're trading you, we're releasing you, we wish you best of luck, we've given you recommendations. And, maybe it's different. Like if a player doesn't really do that, then maybe it's a different story. But at the end of the day, I do think that Draymond is, I would say he is right in some aspects, in some instances, with the way that everything is going right now. But at the end of the day, I do agree with kind of the overall perspective of, teams, players, they're all looking for the best situations to win games and win championships and trying to get the most coin that you can get, because some teams are, playoff and NBA finals bound, and there's other teams that are just looking to kind of keep going and surviving another day. And those are the teams that are mostly kind of trading players, releasing them, kind of moving here and there for some of these guys. And at the end of the day, that's kind of the situation that you have to deal with as whether you're a Warriors fan, a Lakers fan, or whatever fan of a team, Cleveland, for example, with the whole Andre Drummond situation. At the end of the day, like, I do agree in some respect with what Draymond is saying, but at the end of the day, I do think that he has, I do think that there's some points that I don't think that are very, which I disagree with, I will say, because I don't think that it's right for both sides to not be, critical. And a guy like Chris Broussard talking about players shouldn't be criticized. I'm not criticizing Draymond or James Harden. Like, look, if James Harden said he wants to trade, I am okay with it. The thing with James Harden, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, and you guys can watch my James Harden videos, is I didn't like the way that he went out to the clubs in Atlanta, a different state, to go party up with the baby or little baby. I can't remember who he partied out with, and just kind of celebrated his female friends. I think she's the manager of one of the clubs or whatever it was, celebrating her success and the way that she's moving about. What I do find frustrating is, of course, the situation that I see with James Harden. Again, going out to the club in a pandemic, not okay. Eating your heart's content to the point where you're basically, kind of, and I wouldn't. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, you're gaining weight and you're costing your team W's and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, when a team finally does pick you up or you do get traded to the scenario that you want to, how quick are you going to burn off that food? How quick are you going to burn off? How quick are you going to get away from those habits? I know I've seen James Harden do it for one season where he was fully locked in and fully committed, and that was the season he won his MVP. After that, I have yet to see a James Harden that committed to, I'm not saying like, body-wise, shape-wise, mental-wise, like everything that season that James Harden won the MVP was in sync and on lock, and he just was on a completely different level. But now I'm just seeing a James Harden that, before the trade was just kind of coasting, was just kind of chilling, wasn't really doing his thing. And again, that I would say that disappoints me a little bit more than anything else. Because like I said, I would love to see a scenario where James Harden wins a championship, where he does play really well, where he does do great things. And at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. And, it will be an interesting scenario to see what happens with this whole situation, what the team says. Will the NBA fine Draymond Green? There were some things that happened to Masai Ujiri, and I heard what Adam Silver said about the whole scenario. I'll have to watch the full video before we kind of break down into it. But from what I saw, I didn't really like what I heard from Adam Silver. And this is kind of his first slip up and mess up as the NBA commissioner after, going basically, a perfect whatever record he was. I think this was his first L, but we'll talk about that probably a little bit later on in the week. And just to let you guys know that I will be out of here on Thursday night. So I'm going to stream early, hopefully that day. But just to let you know that it will be kind of tough for the Friday. I will try to kind of make sure that I make room for that Friday to do a video, maybe early in the morning, or maybe I just record it and send it out to you guys. But I would love to do that for you guys. So just be aware that Friday might be a little bit of a different situation. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this whole Draymond Green scenario? Do you guys agree with what he said? Do you disagree with what he says? It would be interesting to let you, or to kind of hear from you guys, whether in the comment section or in the live chat, what you think about this. I know Eoy agreed with Draymond Green. What do you guys think of it? Am I right? Am I wrong in my assessment? And I did kind of come at it with three different perspectives, right? As the team, as the player, and also as the fan. And I do think that fans are a little bit more tolerant now than they were 10 years ago, especially as it pertains to what happened with LeBron James and what happened with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. But again, you could say the same thing about Kevin Durant. I mean, that was recent. And you saw what happened in there. I mean, it's the same thing with what what kind of surprises me is that Chris Broussard. I love Chris Broussard, but points players shouldn't be criticized for trades, and I'm not sure why we're seeing a thinning hair commercial. Shouldn't be criticized for trades, but at the same time, you did criticize. And you can say it's different. You can say whatever about it, but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where it's like you did criticize Kevin Durant for moving from free agency, which is kind of technically, trades and stuff like that, moving from a different team to go to another team. I mean, you were basically criticizing Kevin Durant for that move that he did. And I never criticized Kevin Durant. Yes, was it frustrating to see that he went to a team like that? Yeah, but I don't criticize it. I don't blame any player that wants to get to a point where he's winning championships. And I do think that Kevin Durant should have stayed in my heart of heart, because I think they would have won multiple championships. And you could have saw a different conversation for a guy like Steph Curry and Kevin Durant as it pertains to, maybe the conversation changes. But at the end of the day, again, that is just my opinion, and I would love to know your guys' opinion. And to kind of finish off the story, we'll talk about D'Angelo Russell, to kind of finish off the stream, I should say. The unfortunate thing is that, he's undergoing arthroscopic surgery to remove loose body on his left knee. And he's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks, which is a major blow, I would say, to the Timberwolves. Like, I think that what I see from the Timberwolves and what's going on is that, the frustrating part about this whole thing is that I think D'Angelo Russell was probably going to be on the move again. I don't think that he's necessarily the answer in Minnesota. Now that he's hurt, it's just one of those scenarios where it just does frustrate. I would say it would frustrate me or frustrate anybody kind of dealing with this injury. He's averaging 19.3, 5.1. Was he as productive as he could have been? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I do think that, the Timberwolves are much better with him than without him. They lost today to the Lakers, and it was a close game. I know that the AD wasn't there and D'Angelo Russell wasn't there, so it was kind of like a pound of flesh for pound of flesh in that aspect, just because of the way that the whole scenario was going on. But, at the end of the day, the stream was mostly about the Draymond Green situation, but I did want to touch on this D'Angelo Russell news because it is frustrating as a Minnesota Timberwolves fan to kind of understand that now, you had Karl-Anthony Towns that was out for so long. Now you're going to have another player on your team that's out basically for a month and 2 weeks, at maximum and at minimum a month without D'Angelo Russell, which I would find frustrating if I was a fan, because it is one of those things that you want to see guys play, you want to see guys contend, and you want to see that whole scenario. But I think that's going to do it here for the charge, guys. Again, I do apologize. And I did want to talk about the whole Draymond Green scenario, because it was a big talking point for the NBA today, just with the way that everybody was going after it, the way that Draymond Green was going after fans, going after the teams. And there is a lot of sides to play with that, and I will do my best fence sitting that I can, because I do think that this is a fence sitting situation with the way that the whole scenario went down. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this whole team scenario? What do you make of D'Angelo Russell out for 4 to 6 weeks? Is he likely going to get traded? Are they going to try and move on from D'Angelo Russell? And also the Draymond Green stuff, man. What do you guys think about this whole situation? But anyway, guys, that is going to do it here for the charge. Again, really appreciate each and every one of you that is out here. I know this was a short, kind of 30-ish minute stream, but I just kind of wanted to really talk about the Draymond Green scenario and not just kind of fluff or give you kind of stuffing that you didn't really need in terms of video. I really wanted to kind of just emphasize that Draymond Green, because it is a very interesting topic to kind of talk about a player that's outwardly frustrated with the way that the league, the fans have treated players. But I do think that there is both sides to this. So like I said, I want you guys to sound off in the comment section down below once this video is done rendering the live stream. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie here on The Charge, giving you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Let me know in the comment section down below, what did you guys make of each and every story, and we will catch you guys on the next video, or I guess the next live stream. We will be live streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow will be an earlier live stream just due to some religious obligations that I was promising people, so I will not be here tomorrow at the 6 o'clock time, maybe afterwards or maybe before. But I'll put out a video to let you guys know what the decision is about that. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Peace.